Welcome back, Marketplace Mastery. Today we are going to talk about taking an application. I'm going to go over my application. Keep in mind, you don't have to use my application. You can do whatever you like, but if it's not broken, why fix it? This works. Now, what I have is a one-page application that if you have, let's say, a processing staff, you can physically fill out the application and hand it off to someone else, and they'll be able to put the entire application in. It's that complete in only one page. Let me go ahead and show you. If you'd like a copy of it, just let me know. Here is my application. I've used the same application since 2015, I believe. So basically, you're going to look at it, as I said, it's one page, just a one-page simple application. Go over how I fill it out. By all means, edit it, make it yours, do whatever you like, or hey, don't use it, whatever. Granted, you don't need to use it. You can put applications in directly through Health Sherpa. Me personally, I don't like having someone on the phone when I'm doing processing or when my staff is doing processing. I'd rather them be off the phone so I can take care of any issues if there are, and then we can always call them back if needed. So with the application ID, this is not something that you provide them. Oops, I just moved it a little bit. Well, basically what this is, the application ID is provided by the marketplace after the application is submitted. At that point, I come back in here and I change or edit the application ID. The effective date we know is going to be the first of the next month. There's no way of making it anything else. So we're going to make it 5/1 of 21 and then we'll add today's date. And at that point, agent. Now, obviously, if you're only by yourself, you don't have to fill this out, but you never know. You may have agents in the future. I know that when I have my call center, this is the same application that we use. So I'm going to put my name there now. And the name of the client. Now, keep in mind, a lot of people have names that are not spelled exactly how you would expect to sell it. Or spell it, rather, sell it. So I always ask them to, how do I spell that? Just, argument's sake. Because you never know, he can be a John, but he can be a John. So who really knows? So for argument's sake, it's John Marks. He's a male and his date of birth is 1/25/1979. Born is not something you need to ask for health insurance applications, but life insurance applications is going to ask this. So that you'll notice that there are a few questions that are specifically for add-on sales that are going to make your life a little easier if you're using this application and you're cross-selling with your health. So with your phone number, you can just add it however you like. Occupation, again, this occupation is not needed unless you are self-employed. If you're self-employed, I ask what your occupation is because at that point, it is going to ask on the application. Time at job is something that some life applications ask, not for the health. Smoker, you're going to ask. And then the address, this particular person lives at 123 Main Street in Dade County, Florida, which is in Miami. And then you'll notice height and weight, another non-necessary question for a health application. Mailing address, because with some of these people, obviously they're going to mail to a P.O. box. So if they have a P.O. box, you add that information here. Same thing here. We're back to life insurance information, beneficiary and relationship. Right? As we scroll down, you'll notice email. Well, keep in mind, I've probably mentioned this before, but make sure that you do not click on paperless. Do not click on paperless. Do not rely on the client to open their mail or email rather and see a letter from the marketplace, because what happens a lot of times, they don't see it. And what ends up happening is they lose their coverage because their subsidy changes and they just say, F this, I'm not paying it. They don't call you. They just say, I'm not paying it. No way. It's your fault. But it's not. So if you were to send them the paperwork, they would have seen the paperwork and they would have called you. What does this mean? But if they don't see it, there's a problem. So always put an email address. You need it on the application, but do not click paperless application. You want to make sure that everything comes with paper, in the mail. So social security number is not needed. I repeat that. It's not needed to put the application in, but if you don't put the social in, it's going to ask you for verification of social, income, citizenship. So now you're going to have to provide them like 37,000 documents. Not really, but you get my point. So normally what happens if a client does not give you their socials because they don't trust you. Once they get their insurance cards in their hand, call them back. Now that you got your insurance card, John, do you mind giving me your social so I can go ahead and get these requirements cleared out for you? Sure, Mike, that's not a problem. And then he tells me it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. Perfect, thank you, John. As you put that information in, you'll notice that most of the clarifications will go away. You won't have typically anything left if it's correct. If all the information is correct, you shouldn't have to give any documentation. As we keep moving, you're going to notice we have our credit card information and our checking information. Yes, I realize it's in an odd spot. Just skip around. It's just where I had room for it, to be honest with you. Then we go into the spouse information. Now, what I normally do, because sometimes, people may have different names, but if they have the same name, like if John's married to Mary and her last name is also Mark, so I'll just put Mary. When it comes down to the date of birth, as you notice, we're coming into spaces that are a little bit tight. So what I normally do here is I just shorten everything up. So if she was born on the same birthday as him, I would put her in like that. Because as you notice, if you put it 19, it just gets a little smaller. Every number you put in, the number gets a little smaller, and you never know. Your processing staff may be having a bad day, or maybe they need glasses. They may miss it, and then the client goes to the doctor, runs their card, and they say, we can't help you because your birthday's off. And that really happens. So if the birthday's off in the system, they won't have service. They'll have to fix that before they can get their claims paid, and that's an issue. So whatever. Same thing applies here when you're talking about the height and weight and where they're born. Social, same, all of this stuff applies. It's the same thing we saw before. Now, as you come down, you're going to notice that there's going to be a question here, number of dependents, and then you're going to see that there's 3 boxes below. Yes, I know. Some people have more than 3 kids. Happens. So what I do in that case is I put them by gender. And let's say they have 7 kids. I do have clients that have 7 kids. What I'll do is I'll put 4 boys and 3 girls. And then I'll put their names. If they all have the same last name, I would write it like this. Her name is Haley. Her date of birth is 1/4/2005. If she's on the plan, you have to get her social. If she's not on the plan, you don't need her social. Remember, that's easy, right? So the second one, her name is Jane. Jane's birthday is 7/11/2009. You get the drift. And you're just going to put you see what I did? I put the boys and the girls wrong. So you click, 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 click. We would have switched it and that would have been it. But my point is, you can just make room as you go. If they have so many kids, I have people that have 10, 11 children. I work with a lot of rather large families, and if they don't have room to put their information here, on the bottom there's a notes section. You can add more, and this you can actually type, and it'll keep going. So you can make it work. So my point, back to where I'm at, once you have the boys and the girls' information into the system, then you go into their employer, which one of you work, if this is for W-2, if they're self-employed. Now the way I do it, if it's, let's say, 2 people, I would put him, Walmart, her, Burger King, whatever, I can't spell that either. So whatever the case is, self-employed, him, just makes life easy, right? Make life easy, and then the application can get processed. Then when it comes down to employer phone, always Google it. It's not that hard. Let's say he works in Walmart in Miami, and you look up Walmart in Miami and you get the wrong Walmart, they're not going to check, so it doesn't matter. So let's put a phone number in there. Self-employed went over, contact method. I normally put text message. I ask them, would you rather get text, phone calls, or emails? Most people put texts. So whatever it would be, put it right there. And then we come down to the job. This again is going to talk about the income before taxes if you're W-2, and if you are self-employed, it's going to be income after deductions. And then I normally do it however it is. If it's $15,000 and she makes $10,000, annual, however you want to break it down, right? And then you come down here, and this is where you put your plan information. So let's say we sold an Oscar, silver, the deductible was 0, and out of pocket was $1,200. Let's say the cost of the plan was $600, and the plan subsidy was $575, and they have a $25 member cost. So basically, that's what they're going to pay. That's the cost of the insurance. That's their subsidy. Why do I do that? Because next year when they call and they have a question, whatever the case is, I want to verify what they had last year. I want to see what their income was last year. So when they get that job increase, where next year I talk to him and he tells me he's making $37,000, I can congratulate him on the increase because it's nice. A win. Congratulate wins. People feel good. Granted, he probably won't feel good when he hears that insurance rate, but it's always nice to make more money. Ancillary, obviously, if you sell any ancillary, you can put the information here. Processor information for, obviously, the processor. They can sign it like they've done with it. And then at the notes, if you have any extra questions, or if you want to, let's say, John recommends or he wants to see Dr. Jones, that's in Aventura. Whatever the case would be, you can, Dr. Jones in Aventura, whatever, you can go look through the network and get the information for that. And when you get the application in, I normally just have the client change the doctor. I don't normally do that too often, but that's pretty much what it is. So once you have the application, this is a full application. This application right now, with the exception of that, can be submitted. This is all I would need in order to get, well, not anymore, I don't have their job information, but you get the drift. That's pretty much it. Applications are simple. Once you get to a person wanting the insurance, this is the easy part. Also, don't be scared to ask for the social. That's one thing that I have no problem asking for. If someone's not going to give you their social, the reality of it is, if they're not going to give you their social, they don't trust you. But if you've done your job right, and you've explained the insurance properly, and if you've gone into how insurance was and how insurance was before Obamacare and how Obamacare fixed the world, they're not going to have any problems with giving this to you because you're in charge. They're going to trust in you because you sound amazing. And that's really what it comes down to. All right, guys. That's it. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace.